Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude, where I do trailer reactions, I react to YouTube videos, I review YouTube channels, occasionally I'll review a movie, but really, I just do whatever the hell I want. Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Today, we're going to look at 5 chilling cults with mysterious backstories. These are out of from the past decade. So let's check this one out. Cults fascinate me. They always have. I don't know how. I don't think I could ever be drawn into a religious cult or any cult of any kind. Not willingly, anyway. So let's check this one out right now. From Top 5 Unknowns.
According to the Cambridge Online Dictionary, a cult is defined as a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. Cults can be incredibly dangerous, with leaders demanding large sums of money and their followers indefinite servitude, no matter what they're asked to do. Some cults focus on the fact that the end time is coming and that only those who follow their beliefs will be saved. Others focus on becoming divine and enlightened. Cults have been around for a very long time, and they're often only mentioned when something horrific happens behind closed doors.
The Heaven's
Here are
Gate
5
cult.
crimes committed by cults in the last decade. Number 5. The Workers' Institute of Marxism-Leninism were a small communist cult run by a man who called himself Comrade Bala. Comrade Bala was originally from Malaysia before he settled into the UK in the 1960s. By the 70s, he'd been expelled from the Communist Party of England, and that's when he decided to start his own commune. One of the cult's statements was, "Beloved Chairman Mao will live forever. Death to 2 powers. Death to the British fascist state." The cult was on the radar of the British police, who saw them as nothing more than crazed communists who lived together in a makeshift commune. However, the truth behind the cult was much darker. The truth about the dark side of the Workers' Institute wasn't brought to light.
See, now look at that face. Would you trust that guy? Would you go willingly into a cult with that guy? I know maybe I'm being a little bit judgmental, but I wouldn't.
Until 2013, when Comrade Bala's 30-year-old daughter, along with 2 other women, found the courage to leave and tell police everything. Their testimony would shock the nation, with police even saying, "We've never seen anything of this magnitude before." The 3 women bravely testified that their leader, Comrade Bala, had kept them captive for over 30 years, and his daughter commented that she'd never known freedom and had never gone to school. The only teachings she knew were the ones of the cult. They also testified that their leader was physically and sexually abusive towards female cult members. He would take away their wages and force them to work as servants for him. The members were threatened with physical violence as well as being mentally manipulated into thinking that they couldn't leave. 2 women unfortunately died while in the cult. Comrade Bala's explanation for these deaths are as follows. He claimed that one of the women fell out of a window, while another member simply hit her head on a kitchen table and fell unconscious and died. It was clear to investigators that neither of these deaths were accidental. Following the brave escape of the 3 women, Comrade Bala was subsequently charged in December of 2014, marking the end of the brutally abusive cult. Bala was charged with several accounts of sexual assault, child cruelty, and false imprisonment. The court heard how he had imprisoned and systematically tortured female members of the cult between 1976 and 2013. His daughter testified that she would be beaten and harassed and saw unspeakable horrors happening in the walls of the commune. No one was allowed to come and go as they pleased, and everyone was under the threat of extreme violence or coercion. The women he kept enslaved to the cult were in captivity for 37 years, while Bala himself was sentenced to...
Looking at him, he'd need help to try and keep me there.
...serve just 23 years in prison. The members of the cult are now left with post-traumatic stress disorder, and many are trying to rebuild their lives.
But it sounds like he was mostly after the women. So.
Number 4. 45-year-old Jimmy Prout was found deceased in the wastelands near his North Shields, England home on March 27, 2016. The community were in shock and outrage as the autopsy revealed that Prout had been subjected to months of horrific abuse and torture before his death. There were 5 members to this death cult: Zahid Zaman, age 43, who acted as a leader of the cult, 26-year-old Ann Corbet, 56-year-old Kay Rayworth, and 50-year-old Myra Wood, along with 45-year-old Jimmy Prout. According to locals in the area, the group were involved in an odd relationship that was orchestrated by Zahid Zaman. Zaman was described as controlling and manipulative, and he was able to persuade his members to do virtually anything for him, including murder. In the months before Prout's death, it seemed that the group began getting into minor disagreements. 26-year-old Ann Corbet was the closest to Prout, and following the falling out between the pair, the seed was planted in her mind. In the years before his death, Prout had been to the hospital with claims that he'd been beaten and abused. The doctor who examined him on March 27, 2015, testified Prout said that he was kicked, punched, and hit with a baseball bat. According to forensic evidence, Prout died on February 9, 2016, after being attacked and beaten by Zaman and Corbet. The other 2 members of the cult stood by and did nothing to intervene. Over several hours, Prout was brutally beaten before he succumbed to his injuries. The 4 members then loaded his body into a wheelchair and dumped him into the wasteland near his own home. Prout even made a post to his Facebook page on November 30th, 2015, displaying his horrific upper body injuries with the caption, "My shoulder hurts." Prout had also had his teeth knocked out, and at one point before his death, he was forced to eat his own testicle. At the trial of the 4 cult members, Detective Chief Inspector Andy Fairlem said before his death, Jimmy was subjected to several serious assaults of a vile, degrading nature, which resulted in his health, both physical and emotional, deteriorating in the last weeks of his life up to his death. Justice came in June of 2017. Zaman and Corbet were found guilty of murder, while Wood and Rayworth are both found guilty of causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult. All 4 of them were also charged with perverting the course of justice. Number 3. Nashika Bramble and her 2 daughters, Michaela Roberts and Hannah Marshall, joined a doomsday cult based in Colorado in early 2017. The 2 girls were described as bright and lively and simply wanted to live their lives like every other child their age. Sadly, their mother had become involved in a dangerous doomsday cult, known only as the Family, that manipulated and abused their way into her mind. The cult's leader, Madani Seuss, originally from Haiti, told Nashika that her children were possessed by unclean spirits and therefore needed to be cleansed or else they would be banished forever. The 2 girls were ordered to be locked in a secluded car without food or water, all while the mother and other cult members waited for the 2017 solar eclipse, which according to their leader would bring about the apocalypse. The girls' mummified remains were found in the car on September 8, 2017, with a pathologist stating that they'd been deceased for weeks before they were found. In a strange turn of events, Nashika found herself was banished to a car to suffer the same fate as her daughters. Instead of suffering, though, within a day she had escaped and walked a mile to the next town to seek help. That's when the horrific crime was uncovered. The owner of the property where the crimes took place was sentenced to serve 12 years for being an accessory to murder, after it was revealed that he'd covered up the car with a tarp to stop the girls from being discovered and to hide the smell. Another member of the cult, Ashford Archer, was sentenced to serve 24 years in prison for 2 counts of fatal child abuse and 1 count of being an accessory to murder. Nashika Bramble defended her actions by claiming that her daughters were possessed by demons, and her defense team claimed that she was unfit to stand trial, as she was under the influence of a cult. In October of 2019, Bramble was sentenced.
I think she's under the influence of something, and the cult ain't what it is. She's either under the influence of insanity or under the influence of drugs.
To 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, 1 sentence for each daughter. The leader of the cult is currently waiting trial with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of child abuse.
I hadn't heard of those 3.
Number 2.
Well, at least I had that last one, the Family.
On July 15, 2017, dispatchers in Philadelphia got a strange call that would expose a bizarre online alien cult. The caller was 42-year-old Barbara Rogers, and she screamed down the phone, "My boyfriend had a gun. He told me to hold it here and press the trigger. Now he's dead." Police arrived on the scene to find 32-year-old Stephen Mineo dead in his trailer from a close-range gunshot to the head. The couple were members of an alien doomsday cult run by Sherry Shriner. The cult mainly operated online but had a base in Ohio. Shriner called herself a servant, a prophet, and ambassador, daughter and messenger of the Most High God. The evidence that transpired was fueled by paranoia and manipulation by the cult's leader, Shriner. Mineo had believed that their leader was in fact a reptilian pretending to be human, while Shriner told him that his girlfriend had been possessed. Shriner managed to manipulate Mineo into believing that all of this was true, as she said to him, when the demon manifests in her, whether it's a demon or a lizard or both, a human is no match for that kind of supernatural
These people are
strength.
just mentally ill.
She used the fact that Rogers had been craving red meat as a sign that she was a reptilian, and said there are only certain types of people who crave raw meat because they crave the blood. Rogers claims that Mineo had ordered her to pull the trigger of his gun, and that she had no idea that it was loaded. The pair had been drinking on the night of the murder, but were not said to have been intoxicated. They also got into an argument as Mineo was conflicted about his relationship with Rogers and the fact that Shriner had banished him because she believed Rogers was possessed. A full motive behind the shooting has never been uncovered. On Monday, June 10, 2019, Barbara Rogers was found guilty of third-degree murder and sentenced to serve 15 to 40 years in prison. The charge of third-degree murder was handed down as Rogers testified, "I was not in control of the situation that happened. I was not the dominating party in this situation." But Rogers will serve time for a crime. Mineo's family were not impressed with the trial and the verdict. His mother, Donna, told reporters, "What happened to my son is permanent. Her sentence should be permanent as well. It's totally unfair." Number 1. NVIXM, also known as Nexium, is a multi-level marketing company based in Albany, New York that could easily have a whole video dedicated to their inner workings and horrific crimes. The organization is run by a man named Keith, and since its disbanding has been subject of many allegations of blackmailing and brainwashing. On the surface, Nexium seemed pretty innocent and pretended itself to be a self-help organization where people could attend seminars to further their personal and professional development. Behind closed doors, Keith was running a sex cult where female members were branded and forced into sexual relationships with their slave masters. The brand is allegedly the initials of Keith, a tactic used to remind him that they're his property forever. Smallville actress Allison Mack became a member of the cult in the early 2000s, and by the time the series had finished filming, she handed over large sums of money to the cult to keep operations running. She was also accused of luring other vulnerable young women into joining the cult, so that she could keep Keith happy by presenting him with more slaves. Disturbingly, a 15-year-old is believed to have become Keith's first slave, as he began trafficking and keeping more women. Other members of the cult admitted to keeping female members as slaves to perform physical duties, as well as sexual ones against their will. In June of 2019, Keith was found guilty of racketeering, forced labor, sexual trafficking, and child abuse charges relating to the 15-year-old. Keith is facing life in prison for the horrific crimes he committed under the guise of being a self-help organization. According to the New York Post, a federal judge ordered Keith's sentencing to start on April 16, 2020, but with the current pandemic, it's likely to have been pushed back.
Save the taxpayers a lot of money and just, Well, that was from Top 5 Unknowns. 5 scariest cults with chilling backstories in the past decade. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of that. And how about a joke? How do you get a squirrel out of a tree? You pull down your pants and show them your nuts. Oh, different nuts. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hashtag Mean Gene, all that fun stuff. And if you like this video, tell all your friends, leave a comment down below. And if you didn't like it, then just shut up. And I will see you next time.